Hello, my name is Keith Klabon, and I'm a disabled veteran artist. I make multimedia projects, and I came to encounter difficulties with the VA as a disabled veteran artist, their attitudes, and also the barriers within the VA, but also barriers in the art industry, also in whole. And I wish to address these. There are consequences if those in need of an alternative way to express their feelings are not addressed, where our veterans have a high suicide rate from these veteran issues, such as post-traumatic stress disorder. Art is a therapy that has proven repeatedly that it works for so many situations. This problem will continue to escalate and continue to perpetuate until assistance and a place to congregate is seriously addressed for veteran artists or those whom art can be used to help recover. Veteran artists need a place together to congregate with one another and to talk about art, make art, and show their work not only to the veteran community, but to the communities where they live and to the individual cities, counties, states, and nation is almost non-existent. Approximately 515,000 men and women of our armed forces have been diagnosed with TBI, which is traumatic brain injury, between 2000 and 2024, and more than 20% of veterans serving in the Operations Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom, or the Gulf War, which is Desert Storm, have PTSD at some point in their life. Both diagnoses may contribute to depression and to the estimated 17 suicides committed by veterans each day. As a personal endeavor, I have had difficulties obtaining art supplies from the prohibitive costs and equipment needed as a practicing artist. I have personally experienced the same for other veteran artists, able and disabled, who had also need assistance. As a disabled artist, there are cost-prohibitive equipment that is needed, which becomes a barrier having a debilitating component to work with. Disabled veterans are on a fixed income if they are rated at 100% disability. Disabled veterans are rated by how much their disability affects their living. It is a complicated matter, and their compensation varies so that they are also in a financial disadvantage accordingly. Art supplies vary by cost, but they are even more expensive by the economy of today. When faced with a financial hardship, art supplies are not a priority. Efforts to make my community of veteran artists aware of the needed diversity and inclusion of governmental access for disabled veterans to pursue the field of art regardless of debilitating mental or physical conditions. The need to correct policy with the Veterans Administration to provide for individual independence within our society for disabled veteran artists is to provide a place and assistance where the veteran artist can be self-sufficient with the debilitating features they have. It is my aim to make my community of veteran artists aware of the needed diversity and inclusion of governmental access for disabled veterans to pursue the field of art regardless of debilitating mental or physical conditions. My main perspective as a practicing disabled veteran artist is the lack of understanding in the Veterans Administration of artists in general, I learned that there are groups outside the governmental agencies that provide a place for veterans to make art, but they are far too few and have limited abilities and funding. In our second assignment, I went to the VA hospital and found that the government agencies only have art therapy for veterans in the care of medical facilities while they are in rehab, but on their own once released from care. Disabled veterans that want to pursue the occupation of being a practicing artist are only given an opportunity to obtain a degree plan as an artist with the Veterans Vocational Rehab. This only option of academic participation instead of an apprenticeship or a trade training is a problematic policy barrier and attitudinal barrier as well. In my interview with a disabled veteran, he brought to my attention that there are restrictions to veterans to make artworks, such as prohibitive costs of art supplies and equipment needed. Also, a place to make the work that is not prohibitive, such as if a veteran is homeless or has a restrictive living environment, such as residing in an apartment or the special needs as mobility impaired or the transportation to a facility to make artwork is also prohibited. The need to correct policy with the Veterans Administration to provide for individual independence within our Society for Disabled Veterans is to provide a place and assistance where the veteran artists can be self-sufficient with debilitating features that they have. There is a solution, a place where the veteran artists to congregate and make art can be provided using vacant buildings and property that have been abandoned or condemned by the city, county, or state to create an art center to assist with instruction, equipment, and hold events. Temporarily use city, county, or state buildings to house art facility. Corporations to donate property and house the equipment for art center. Military installations to make an art facility supported by the VA and corporations. Universities, state college, or community college to create space specifically for veterans art center or use of existing spaces reserved for veterans. Tax dollars are already provided to these institutions. Support provided by local museums to assist and hold events for veteran artists. My question is, are people willing to care for our disabled veterans who need a place to make art? Will our government agencies, and most important of all, the Veterans Administration, care enough to hear these veterans?